Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ernest Sears Jr. coming to you from SOS Consulting Peak Performance Coaching for yet another installment in the 13 Toxic Red Flag series. We've covered 1 through 7, and today we're going to cover number 8. And number 8 is that of someone who assumes the worst intentions of others. This is someone who, no matter what the situation, no matter what the context, no matter what is going on, they are going to be paranoid. They're going to assume the world is against them. They're going to assume the worst intentions in others. It may be somebody on your team. It may be somebody in your inner circle who, for all intents and purposes, is a great person. You see their potential. The reason they're on your team or in your circle is because initially you've had some shared experiences with them that let you know that this is a person of great worth and potential. However, once you get to know a person better, you begin to see symptoms of issues that may come up. Everybody has baggage, everybody has issues to work on, but some of those types of issues can be red flags. And if you have a person who is consistently assuming the worst intentions and assuming negative intentions in others, this is somebody that can be a detriment to your team, a detriment to your success, a detriment to your personal inner circle. And it requires that you galvanize, your resources, and you figure out a way to get this person to see things from a more positive point of view. Maybe read some books, maybe begin to shadow you a little bit more so that they can observe your positivity under duress, or observe your positivity in the face of difficulty. Watch you resolve issues in a positive way when on its face things look very bad and negative and bleak, but just because of your positive outlook and your positive expectations and the positive vibration within which you operate, that person gets to see that and will learn from your example how to conduct themselves and how to respond to adversity in a way where they're not always expecting the worst, assuming the worst in others. So what makes a person this way? What causes a person to constantly assume the worst in others? Well, a couple of things, but I found in my experience that it's usually based on some sort of incident or traumatic situation from childhood or from young adulthood, where it's with some sort of authority figure in their lives, a coach, a mentor, a parent who has let them down, or who has thought the worst of them or did not give them the benefit of the doubt, or incorrectly assumed that they did something wrong or they were guilty of something, and then later that person found out that in fact the person was not wrong, but there was no apology. And so since that time, the person on your team that we're talking about has some resentment now, and now has a negative association at all times with people who are stating that they're doing things in their best interest, stating that they're doing things that they have that person's back. They just assume the worst no matter what. And so when someone is like that, it can be very challenging for your team and for your inner circle. I'm recommending that you show them the way with books and your example, and also that you be understanding and you let them know how important it is to be patient and to give people the benefit of the doubt. Now, let me say this. When you have a goal and you have something that you're working towards, and a strategy, you are supposed to come up with contingency plans just in case that plan doesn't go as you expect it to. You're supposed to, any good businessman or woman, any good business person is going to have contingency plans. You're going to have a plan B, a plan C, etc. But having a contingency plan in case your amazing idea, your ideal situation doesn't unfold, is different from constantly assuming that you cannot trust anyone. Constantly assuming that people who ostensibly have your back, people who are saying they are working in your best interest, people who are saying they are friends and are supposed to get something done for you, for you to assume that they actually don't, and to assume, negative intentions of them at all times, that is a problem. And I've seen this. Okay, so those are two very different things. And while you need to be patient with that person, you certainly, and give them the time to come around. If they don't come around and if they don't seem to be changing, you are going to have to distance yourself from that person, or distance them from your team, or distance them from your inner circle. Because otherwise, that mentality is going to leak into the rest of your life, okay, and the rest of your network. So someone who assumes the worst in others, if they're on your team, if they're in your life, at some point that means they're assuming the worst in you. That means that they don't believe that you actually have their back. They actually don't believe that your leadership is sound, or that they don't believe that ultimately you have their best interest. So eventually that person is going to, let you down. And because they are constantly engaging in self-sabotage, they're constantly engaging in looking at life, from a point of view that is negative. That means that whatever they set to do, it's probably not going to work out well. And what you have to do is figure out a way to explain to them that whatever you think is the truth. So if you're thinking that people are out to get you, they are out to get you, because that is the life, that is what you're creating for yourself. That is the angle that you're seeing it from. That is the interpretation of life as far as you're concerned. If you believe that people don't have your back, people don't have your best interest, that actually is the truth. That becomes true. No matter what people do for you, no matter what people try to do for you, no matter how much they care for you, things do not work out for you. Why? Because between your ears, you are constantly reading that situation negatively. You're constantly extracting from it the negative. You're constantly looking at it in a way that is the opposite of positive. If you ever heard of Pollyanna, it's a character in a play. It's also a title of a book from the early 20th century. But Pollyanna was very optimistic. It may be to a fault. But if you're the opposite of that, then your life is not going to be as great and enriching, as fulfilling as you would like it to be. And not only that, your negative outlook is going to affect everybody around you. And if they're smart, if they're wise, they're going to distance themselves from you if they're not able to get you to be more positive. So again, it's very, very important when it comes to a person that consistently assumes the negative in others, for you to get them to change that mindset, get them to change that vibration and move on to a different frequency of positivity, or you need to distance yourself from them and remove them from your team, from your inner circle, until they're able to come around and see the light. Okay, I know this message, again, this is one of those difficult messages, a challenging one, but a difficult discussion that you may need to have with someone as a coach, as a leader. These are things that have to be done, because you are that beacon of light that shines on the path to help people to go in the right direction towards their goals and towards fulfilling their destiny. So once again, this is Ernest Sears Jr. with SOS Consulting, Peak Performance Coaching, wishing you a wonderful afternoon. And remember, it's very important that you take the time to reflect, to recalibrate, and to reinvent. Take care.